Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Sky Sports 101 AFC, NFC, NFL divisional round update show. We'll call it a recap show as well. I had to delete the one I taped for you yesterday. I had to delete it because there was no audio sound on it, and I have to edit the post. I posted about it on Facebook, so please, you will get a video of me today, and I'll post it tomorrow. Besides doing a preview for the national championship game tomorrow between the Buckeyes and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So I do apologize for it, but this will be my 1101st podcast. We'll talk about the three previous games that have happened, the two last night and the one today, one being a shocker from last night. And we'll talk about the one that's going on right now between the Bills and the Ravens right now. And so, but first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 NFL uh, divisional round playoff trivia question. Which Detroit Lions running backs make up the duo nicknames Sonic and Knuckles? And I'll have the answer later on the podcast. Well, we're going to start by recapping the games from yesterday. Since and we will start with the one from the early game from yesterday, which was the Chiefs and the Texans. And Patrick Mahomes never lost in the divisional round of the playoffs with the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Houston Texans still have never won. With the Chiefs' star quarterback hitting best buddy Travis Kelsey, 7 times for 117 yards and a touchdown, and a pass rush that dragged Houston quarterback C.J. Stroud to the ground 8 times. Kansas City rolled to 22-14 victory Saturday that sent the two-time defending Super Bowl champions to the AFC title for the 7th consecutive season. The Chiefs are the 4th team in NFL history to follow back-to-back Lombardi trophies by advancing to the conference title game, and 3 previous lost. They will try to change that at Arrowhead Stadium next weekend against the Buffalo Bills or Ravens. They await the winner of that game, who are playing right now in Buffalo, for a shot at dethroning the defending champs. It's been a special run, said Mahomes, whose wife Brittany gave birth to their 3rd child last Sunday. I still remember moments from the World Series my dad played in when I was 5 years old. There are the moments that I'll cherish my entire life. The road isn't over yet, though not with the Chiefs 16-2, cheered on once more by Kelsey's girlfriend Taylor Swift and WNBA star Caitlin Clark, closing an unprecedented 3rd straight Lombardi trophy. Mahomes, who threw for 177 yards and a score improved to 16-3 in the postseason, tying Joe Montana for the 2nd most wins by a starting QB in NFL history behind Tom Brady. That includes his peerless 7-0 mark in divisional playoff games. Meanwhile, Mahomes and Kelsey helped Andy Reid become just the 4th coach in NFL history with 300 career wins. Congratulations on that, Andy. I joked to the guys, you get a couple of more, and you might be able to equal my weight, Reid said. There was plenty of joking in the Kansas City locker room Saturday night. Not a whole lot in the Texans locker room. They still have never won in 6 divisional games, twice losing to Kansas City in devastating fashion. And I know Texans fans are hurting today, but you had a great season, Texans, and you'll be back again next year, and I think you'll be back in the playoffs again. So we'll see. Stroud threw for 245 yards, but was sacked 8 times, while Joe Mixon, who had been questionable to play with an ankle injury, ran for 88 yards and their only touchdown. Texans kicker uh, Kayami Fairburn, uh, Fairburn missed a 55-yard field goal attempt and a Pat try and had another field goal attempt blocked with a minute 46 left, which would have kept their comeback hopes alive by making it a one possession game. Knowing we were up against, knowing what we were up against in this game, we can't make the mistakes that we made. Texans coach DeMarco Ryans said we had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes that happened, whether it was special teams not converting, defensively not being where we are supposed to be in coverage, offensively not protecting our quarterback and keeping him clean. On top of everything else, we have to deal with, Ryan's added, that's going to be an uphill battle. The Texans' special teams were a mess right from the start. The Chiefs nearly opened the game with a kick return touchdown, a bizarre play that ended with Houston cornerback Chris Boyd nearly shoving his own assistant coach to the ground. The Texans held Kansas City to a couple of field goals early, but their defense was unable to stop them late in the first half when the first Kareem Hunt barreled into the end zone to give the AFC West champions a 13-3 lead. Houston managed a 48-yard field goal through cold, swirling winds to make it a one-possession game at the break, and that late kick seemed to have revived the AFC South champions when they returned to the field for the second half. Stroud definitely led a 15 play 82-yard drive that soaked up most of the third quarter, picking up four third down conversions, including one in which the QB scrambled to the sideline and absorbed a wicked hit. Mixon finished the drive with a 13-yard run, only to match Fairburn's extra point that would have tied the game and get blown wide right. They missed. That miss just might have swung the momentum the other way, just as they have so often in winning their last 8 playoff games. The Chiefs responded with a time-consuming drive of their own. Mahomes connected with Kelsey 4 times on the 81-yard march, including the 11-yard touchdown pass to his trusty tight end as the two-time NFL MVP was getting dragged to the turf by Houston's Mario Edwards Jr. I thought it was going to be an interception, Hunt said. The Texans had 2 opportunities to drive for a tying touchdown. The first ended when Stroud was sacked by George Karlaftis on 4th down near midfield with about 10 minutes left. The second was stopped when Stroud misfired on back-to-back passes, and Houston was forced to punt with just over 7 minutes to go. Kansas City proceeded to drive inside the Texans' 10, and Harrison Butker's field goal with 4:32 left put the game away. We're fortunate. We've got a lot of great character guys in the building, Kelsey said. On top of that, as the years have gone on, we only got here by focusing on the task at hand right now. We're going to enjoy this one tonight, but the task is at hand is going to be that AFC championship. You don't get a 3-peat by looking past that. Texans linebacker Az Shire, hurt his knee in the first half, and he had been questionable to play with a knee injury. Chiefs Safety short safety Brian Cook missed most of the first half while being evaluated for concussion, but returned. Uh, Justin Reed took a hard blow to the head, breaking up a pass in the fourth quarter, but stayed in, which is forward uh, a field safety, Justin. And the Chiefs host the AFC title game a week from today for the sixth time in 7 years. They'll play either the Bills or one of the two teams to beat them in the regular season, or the Ravens, who lost in Kansas City in Week 1. And there's 4:48 left to go in the fourth quarter. Buffalo's up 24-19 by 5, and so we shall see. It's a first and goal. That's what it is right now. And right now, I got to give the game balls for this one to Mahomes and the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 16.25 carries and attempts, 16 of 25 carries and attempts, for 177 yards, one touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 8 attempts, one touchdown, 44 yards. Travis Kelce, 7 receptions, 117 yards, one touchdown. The Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game next week, and the offseason begins for the Houston Texans. And it's now second and goal, 4:21 to go in the fourth quarter. It's at the Baltimore 7, at the Baltimore second 2, and the Bills have the ball right now. It's a 30-0 at the Baltimore 2, and we're gonna go over one that was a shock last night, which was the one in the NFC that was played last night, and the team that was favored to win it all had a huge blow and to one of their players in the defense, and turned the ball over 5 times, and they are now out of lost number 1 seed and now are out of the playoffs. And so Jalen Daniels and the nothing to lose Washington Commanders sent the top seeded Detroit Lions to a stunningly swift playoff exit. Daniels threw for 2 touchdowns, and fellow rookie Mike Sinristil had 2 interceptions, dazzling performances that helped Washington beat Detroit 45-31 on Saturday night to reach the NFC Championship game for the first time since winning the franchise's third Super Bowl 33 years ago, and that was in 1991 when that was. It's a surreal moment, Daniels said. The 6th-seeded Commanders, who are 4-5, were nearly double-digit underdogs against the Super Bowl favorite Lions, who are 15-3, overcome doubts as they did all season with new quarterback and coach and general manager. I always believed that we could achieve more than people give us credit for, Daniels said. Detroit, the AFC's top team for the first time with a franchise record of 15 wins, doomed its chances of living up to its expectations by turning the ball over 5 times. This isn't the time to talk about what a great year we had and all the wins. Lions coach Dan Gilbert said, "We've got to get the show and to get to the show, and we fell short. That hurts." Sinristil, who won the national title at Michigan last season, picked off his second pass on a trick play with receiver Jameson Williams, throwing into coverage off a reverse in the fourth quarter. Mike is somebody that he is hard to fool. Commanders coach Dan Quinn said. Quan Martin returned a pick 40 yards for a touchdown in the second quarter to put Washington ahead 24-14. Jared Goff threw picks threw 3 picks and lost a fumble, turning it over 3 times in the ill-fated first half. He finished with 23 of 40 carries and attempts for 313 yards with a touchdown pass to Sam Laporta that gave the Lions their last lead midway through the second quarter. Daniels finished with 299 yards passing and 51 yards rushing. Just as important, didn't turn the ball over. He has a different poise, Quinn said. He's a rare competitor. Daniels became the second rookie quarterback to knock off a top-seeded team, joining Joe Flacco, who left Baltimore past Tennessee on January 10th, 2009. Nothing surprises me with him, said wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who turned a short pass from Daniels into a 58-yard touchdown. Quinn led Washington to its first playoff win in 19 years last week. The Commanders rallied past Tampa Bay for their sixth comeback win and fifth straight on the final play from scrimmage and regulation or overtime. The Commanders, who converted 3 of 4 downs, didn't let Detroit keep it that close. Give them credit, Campbell said. They earned that game, and we didn't. Washington outscored Detroit 28-14 in the second quarter, the highest scoring quarter in NFL playoff history, to take a 31-21 lead at halftime. Daniels had 242 yards passing in the first half, setting a rookie record 1 week after becoming the first rookie to lead his team in yards rushing and passing in a playoff win. The former LSU star, who was the number 2 pick overall, was 22 of 31, including the long TD on the screen to McLaurin and a 5-yard throw for a score to Zach Ertz in the second quarter. Brian Robinson ran for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Detroit's Jahmyr Gibbs ran for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Amon-Ra St. Brown had 8 receptions for 137 yards. Goff fumbled in a collapsing pocket on 3rd and 1 from the Commanders' 17 late in the first quarter, and Washington took advantage. Daniels converted on 4th and 3 from the Detroit 9 to extend the drive, capped by Robinson's 2-yard touchdown run. 3 snaps after Daniels' TD throw to McLaurin, Goff overthrew his intended target, and Martin intercepted it and took it to the end zone, putting the Commanders ahead 24-14. Oh, excuse me. Goff took a hit from linebacker Frankie Louvieux on the interception return and was evaluated for a concussion. Detroit's defense could not stop the Commanders all night, and Washington set a season high in points. The Lions started the second half strong, forcing Washington to punt for the first time and going 76 yards on 11 plays on the ensuing drive, capped by Gibbs' 8-yard run for a second touchdown to make it 31-28. Detroit, though, wasn't stingy for long on defense. Washington had a 15-yard play, 70-yard touchdown drive extended by Detroit having 12 men on the field, facing 4th and 2 from its 5, and Robinson's second short touchdown run restored the Commanders' 10-point lead. Commanders offensive guard Sam Cosmi was injured on Robinson's go-ahead touchdown early in the second quarter. His right leg went awkwardly, and he limped off the field. Lions quarterback Amik Robinson suffered a broken arm on Washington's second snap. Offensive guard Kevin Zettler had a hamstring injury, and reserve defensive lineman Pat O'Connor had a calf injury and were inactive. Washington will play the winner of today's early game, which was the Eagles, in next Sunday's NFC Championship game. So it is set, the NFC Championship game. So we're not talking about that game today. Right now, but Detroit will be back, I think, in the playoffs again next year. So I got to give the game balls to where credit is due. Jalen Daniels, 22 of 31, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and those were passes to 22 and 31. Brian Robinson Jr., uh, 15 attempts, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. And we'll get to today's earlier game in just a moment, but right now it is time to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Divisional Playoff trivia question. Which Detroit Lions running backs make up the duo Sonic and Knuckles? If you said Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, you are correct. They make up the nickname Sonic and Knuckles. I have another trivia question on my next podcast, which will be for the national championship game tomorrow, which will probably be a Buckeyes trivia question. I'll do that for tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we are going to go over the game from yesterday. From earlier today, excuse me. Which was the LA Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. And Saquon Barkley blew through a hole and ran untouched in the through a hole and ran untouched in the wintry mix. The Eagles' 2,000-yard rusher smacking his helmet with his hand on his final snowy steps of a 78-yard touchdown run. The Rams had braced for gusty winds and heightened chance of snow on a trip to Philadelphia. They were blown over by Barkley. Barkley waved his arms in celebration as he scampered along the back of the end zone before he slid into the snow. Eagles slide in the late game playoff celebration. Barkley dashed through the snow for touchdown runs of 78 and 62 yards, and faced with 205 yards rushing. Jalen Hurts had a 44-yard scoring run, and the Eagles held on against the turnover. Happy Rams 28-22 on Sunday to reach the NFC Championship game for the second time in 3 years. This is the reason why I came here, Barkley said. This was the best opportunity to play in a game like this. Barkley, who left the Giants in free agency to sign a 3-year deal for $26 million guaranteed, ran for a 62-yard score in the first half and stretched the lead in the fourth on the 78-yard score. That gave him 4 touchdowns of 60-plus yards in 2 games this season against the Rams. Barkley gave Hurts a little heads up before the snap that a special play was about to develop. It was fun. It was a play that I asked for, Barkley said. It was a beautiful thing when stuff like that happens. These Philly snowbirds had cause for celebration. They will host the NFC Championship game next Sunday against the Washington Commanders, who stunned the number 1 seed, as I mentioned, the Detroit Lions, last night. The Rams kept the upset threat alive, caused in a large part by 2 missed extra points by Philadelphia's Jake Elliott. Matthew Stafford, who threw for 324 yards with sore ribs, kept the Rams in it with a 4-yard TD pass to Colby Parkinson that made it a 28-22 to 22. The Rams got the ball back with 2 minutes left, and Stafford completed consecutive passes of 11 and 37 yards to move the ball into Eagles territory. But Stafford was sacked by Jalen Carter on 3rd down and threw an incomplete pass on 4th down to end the threat. The game after the Rams suffered a flurry of fumbles in the 4th quarter by one running back, Kyren Williams, that led to a field goal for the Eagles and a strip sack of Stafford that led to another kick by Elliott to give Philadelphia the 22-15 lead. The Eagles are set to host, as I mentioned, the NFC Championship for the fifth time since Lincoln Financial Field opened in 2003. And it's a 2-minute warning, 27-19, Buffalo in the lead. And if Buffalo can hold on, they will play Kansas City in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC championship game next week. Eagles defenders frolicked in the winter mess and made snow angels in the end zone to celebrate the turnovers. Some brave frigid fans went shirtless, and yes, even Santa Claus was in the house without a report of any snowball throwing. Stadium workers used snowblowers to clear the yard lines and hash marks while Eagles were scooped and kicked away snow to clear a circle for Elliott's field goal attempts. Hurts threw for just 128 yards. His mobility hampered the second half after he was fitted for a knee brace. He didn't miss any snaps, but he was easily mauled. On the safety, he was sacked 7 times. Hurts suffered a concussion that cost him 2 games in a loss at Washington in December, and it was the Eagles' only loss after they returned from the bye with a 2-2 record. Hurts said he expected to play against the Commanders. Barkley had 118 yards total at the break, but the Rams' defense, coming off a 9-sack effort against Minnesota, sacked Hurts 3 times in the half. Hurts was sacked on consecutive plays to end the first half, a total loss of 16 yards that knocked the Eagles out of field goal range. The Eagles borrowed from the playbook used in their November win in Los Angeles when big plays Barkley had a touchdown runs of 70 and 72 yards, helped them cruise to a comfortable win. Hurts rushed for the longest TD of his career, a 44-yarder on the 5th play of that game. That sent a cold crowd still buzzing from pregame theatrics into a frenzy. Elliott missed an extra point for the second straight playoff game. After converting on 4th down, the drive Stafford hit Tyler Higbee, for a 4-yard TD that made it 7-6. Only 6 days earlier, Higbee spit up what in the playoff win over Minnesota and was taken to the hospital with a chest injury. Barkley scored in a 62-yard run for a 13-7 lead, but not before the 2,105-yard rusher slowed near the end zone and looked back to clown the trailing Jared Verse. Barkley had his 5th touchdown of 50-plus yards of the season and was the first player with 3 TD runs, 560 against one team since Baltimore's Jamal Lewis did it against the Browns in 2003. Rain, sleet, or snow, he has been able to pound, and then take it off. Hurts said that was fun, that was cute, just being able to pop it out first for us. First got trolled by Barkley, after the Rams rookie linebacker and Pennsylvania native. He hates Eagles fans. Said he hates Eagles fans. The first-round draft pick attended high school in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, which is about 100 miles northwest of Philly. Verse engaged on fans during pregame warm-ups and relished the booze that rained him on in the light snow. Once the game started, the Eagles showed on the big screen Verse on the bench, and fans booed again. Verse winked at the camera, stamping his name on the list of Philly sports villains. I think I'm up here pretty shocked because I know Uh, a lot of people didn't believe we could come in here, but we had the full expectation to come in here and win. Rams coach Sean McVay said, I don't think anybody ever really expected the end of the season to be right now. And finality of it is, though, it is tough for me to swallow. Rams defensive end Braden Fisk had a knee injury, and Eagles quarterback Quinion Mitchell suffered a shoulder injury. So, but the Eagles get the win, and that means the NFC Championship game is set for next Sunday, and that will be the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles will be hosting it, and right now I have got to give the game balls to the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, 15 of 20 carries and attempts, 128 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Saquon Barkley, 26 attempts, 2 touchdowns, 205 yards. And Dallas Goedert, I think that's who it is. Yes, Dallas Goedert, 4 receptions, 56 yards. And the Rams off season begins, but the Eagles will host the NFC Championship game next Sunday. And right now, with this game going on right now, it is late in the fourth quarter, minute 33 to go. Baltimore is down by 2, and they're about to kick off, and Buffalo's about to have the ball back with a minute 33 to go. So let's see if Buffalo can hold on and get the win, and hopefully get them to the AFC Championship game. I took Kansas City and lost. My brother-in-law did not send this pick, so it's only mine you're going to get. I took Kansas City and won. Took Detroit and lost on that one. And I took Philadelphia today and won. So, right now, it's looking like, let's see what happens on this play here. Because right now, with the minute 33, I'm just going to stay on the air until this game ends. Then I can let you know how this game all went down. I can do it. So, it's a first and 10 at the Baltimore 47, and the Bills have the ball. So let's see if the Bills can hold on. And this game has been, and a lot of people didn't know if this was going to be the game of the year. But a lot of people felt that this was going to be the game of the year. And not a second has gone off the clock yet. So they've got to get this clock going. And so let's, because we would like to get this game over very shortly. And hopefully it will be. So while we are waiting, I'm going to recap the first 3 quarters of this game. First quarter, the Ravens scored their first touchdown of the game. Jackson's pass, 33 at the Buffalo 16. Lamar Jackson's pass short middle to Rashad Bateman for the 16-yard touchdown. Tucker's extra point is good, 7-0 Baltimore. But then Buffalo answered right back with a touchdown. It was Davis right guard for the 1-yard touchdown. Bastards extra points good, tied at 7. Ravens had an interception, 2-11 at the Baltimore 27. Lamar Jackson's pass deep right intended for Rashad Bateman, intercepted by Rapp at the Buffalo 43, and ran out of bounds at the Buffalo 43 for no gain. Buffalo at the point after going 3 and out, 4 plays, 4 yards, 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter. The second and 10 at the Baltimore 34. Lamar Jackson sacked at the Buffalo 34 for -6 yards. Hamlin fumbles and recovered by Buffalo and by Miller at the Buffalo's Miller at the Buffalo 37, and I think it's Miller to the Buffalo 24 for 39 yards. And then Buffalo scored their second touchdown of the game. Second and goal at the Baltimore 1. Josh Allen left guard for the 1-yard touchdown. Passes extra point is good. 14-7 Buffalo. And then the Baltimore Ravens tried to score a touchdown. They got the field goal range. Had to set up for that. 4th and 8 at the Buffalo 8. Tucker's 26-yard field goal is good, and it was 14-10 Buffalo. And then Buffalo scored their third touchdown of the game. It was third and I think, hold that thought. I'm going to go right back to the live thing there, and I think it has gone by. The Bills have done it. And the Bills will host the Baltimore Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game next Sunday, as they have won by 2, 27-25, which means I took Buffalo and I won 3-1. I won on my picks this week, and so the AFC Championship game is now set. So it will be the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC Championship game next Sunday. So those will be the games for next week. And so I think the NFC one might be the early game, and the AFC one might be the late game. We'll have to wait and see on that. And now, and it was 21-10 Buffalo, as I was saying. And then it was the current drive in the second quarter. It was one play. It was the first and 10 at the Buffalo 33. It was a Bass kick to 64 yards in Buffalo. 35 to the Baltimore 1. Mitchell to the Baltimore 33 for 32 yards. And then Lamar Jackson kneels to the Baltimore for 32 for -1 yards. 21-10 at halftime. Buffalo in the third quarter, Buffalo at the punt after going 3 and out, 3 plays, 1 yard. And then the Bills, the Ravens tried to score a touchdown. They got the field goal range. Had to set up for that. 4th and 12 at the Buffalo 29. Justin Tucker, 47-yard field goal is good. 21-13 Buffalo. The Bills had the punt going 3 and out, 6 plays, 18 yards, and then the Ravens scored their second touchdown of the game. It was a first and goal at the Buffalo 5. Derrick Henry right guard for the 5-yard touchdown. The 2-point conversion attempt, 2 pitfall. Lamar Jackson pass to Isaiah Likely, incomplete. It fails. 21-19 Buffalo at the end of the third quarter. And in the fourth, which you know what happened in the fourth quarter, the Bills tried to score a touchdown. They got in the field goal range to set up for that. 4th and 8 at the Baltimore 33. Bass's 51-yard field goal is good. And it was 24-19 Buffalo. And then the Ravens fumbled the ball. 2nd and 11 at the Baltimore 40. Lamar Jackson passed deep right middle to 89 Mark Andrews to Buffalo 44 for 16 yards. Bernard fumbles, and it was touched at Buffalo. The Buffalo 44, recovered by Buffalo 43. Bernard at the Buffalo 46. And then Buffalo kicked another. They had to stop for another field goal. 4th and 2 at the Baltimore 2. Bass's 21-yard field goal was good. 27-19. And then Baltimore scored their third touchdown of the game. Lamar Jackson, first down to Buffalo 24. Lamar Jackson's pass deep middle to number 80, Isaiah Likely, for the 24-yard touchdown. A 2-point conversion attempt. Pass number 89, Mark Andrews, was incomplete and failed. 27-25 Buffalo. And it was just Buffalo just took it out from there, and that means the AFC Championship game is set, as I mentioned. It will be the Chiefs and Bills at Arrowhead Stadium next week in the AFC Championship game in the Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Will be the Eagles and Commanders. And right now, I got to give the game balls to the Bills. Jared Allen on the passing end of it. 16 of 22 carries and attempts, 127 yards, no touchdowns. Jared Allen on the rushing end of it. 20 yards, 10 attempts, 20 yards, 2 touchdowns. And uh, uh, Kyle, Kyle Shanker, uh, 6 receptions, 67 yards. So the Ravens off season begins, but I think they'll be back in the playoffs next year, next season. And but for Buffalo, they move on to the AFC championship game, and they are set both these games, as I mentioned. And I am gonna go with probably I'm leaning towards uh, Kansas City again and Philadelphia. Probably I'm going to go with them, but I'd like to see Buffalo do it, but we'll see. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 NFL uh, NFL playoff division recap show and playoff and update show, or recap show. And I'll be back tomorrow with the Scott Sports 101 National Championship pregame show before the game. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.